What's up, guys? So today's video is just a breakdown of my kit that I brought to a 24-hour milsim at Black Ops Airsoft for their Colony Wars event, and I'm just gonna go through what I have in my pack and what I was wearing on me on the field and everything that I needed to be able to sustain an entire, full 24 hours. And yeah, so I'll go through everything on this pack and some of the gear as well. Just briefly, I'm not going to go in depth with gear because I'll make a loadout video of gear and stuff like that in a later video. But yeah, let's jump right in. So for food and everything like that, like right at the front, I've got everything. As you see, you never know when you have to use the bathroom. I do have dude wipes, so got these, but there was porta potties scattered throughout the field, so didn't really need those, but it's always good to just have them just in case, any circumstance could pop up. I've got food in here. I also had some Mountain House meals preps and also canned ravioli as well, which is pretty good. I made that during the night, which was nice to have a good meal. My radio, this thing died on me like right at the end of the probably around like 11, maybe even 10 at night. It ended up dying because I just left it on. So I would recommend like either having a backup battery and or just turn off your radio when you're not using it, because I think I just left it running for the longest amount of time. So there's also going to be some advice of what I did wrong as well in this video. So as far as radios go, I had a lot of issues with this. So I had bad batteries, well, not bad batteries, but I ran out of battery pretty quick on this thing, as well as my headset ended up just not working. So bringing maybe a backup headset is also a good idea for me, and probably for you in the future if you decide to do like a 24-hour event, milsim style event anyways. It's a good idea. I don't know why my radio was in my meal prep section bag, but it was. Let me set this off to the side. So yeah, that was what was in there. And then move further into this bag here. There's only one zipper on here, and that is due to the massive rain that hit. And then it just, long story short, some guy decided it'd be a bright idea to get into our tents and my buddy's tent and move all of our stuff into his vehicle, which in the end he grabbed my bag and tried to zip it up and rip my zipper. So I'm not too happy about that, but at least there's one working zipper, so on the bright side there's that. Which that was a random side note. So some other things that are in here, you get your utensils, a torch. You never know when you need a torch in case you want to make a fire or something like that. And then you got your standard stove prep thing that goes right on top of your propane tank, which I have in my other bag, which is like my main pack that I wear on me on the field. I ended up obviously taking that propane tank out of my main pack and put it back in here once I got to the campsite, because then I could set up my tent and I have all of this extra excess space to store stuff in here. So when I'm just getting onto the field, I just put as much as I can in both packs, and then when I get to the actual site where we're setting up camp, then I can organize my pack to how I would like it, and then have my tent, which frees up a bunch of space in here. So, and then there's just this little stovetop, I can't think of the name what these things are called, but they're pretty handy. But it's pretty much just like one of those things where you just sit right on top of the stove, and you boil water, and then you can also boil like canned food, stuff like that in it. I did both because I was pretty hungry, because I didn't end up eating lunch. I just went and just had water most of the time. Also there's a pan here, or not a pan, a frying pan, just in case anyone needed it. I didn't end up using it. I didn't end up needing it. But if you're going out for, something even longer, like 72 hours, you might want make pancakes or something like that, eggs for breakfast, stuff like that. But I just brought it with just to have it in there, and you never know if you need it or not. And then another thing that I think is very necessary is a toolkit. So this is literally everything I need to maintain my rifle, and pretty much everything that I could possibly need, down to like the bare minimum. Like there's obviously things in here that I could use that I don't have in here, but this is like the bare minimum to keep my gun maintained on the field. Just a toolkit, came in handy. So funny enough, this thing, like I think it's like 15 bucks on Amazon, but it is the coolest thing because it is literally a foldable chair. And actually, I used it quite, not a lot, but I wasn't sitting down all day. But this chair was really nice because when I was making my food, you know, you just have this chair there, and yeah, it just folds out, and you can sit down, which is not bad at all. Another thing in here, I got my rain jacket, which was nice to have. Didn't use it though. Used my poncho over the rain jacket because my rain jacket was back at my tent, or my camps, back at our campsite. So didn't really use the rain jacket, but the poncho came in handy. But the poncho I also didn't deploy fast enough, or at all, because of I just forgot I even had the poncho. Like I wasn't even thinking about it. We were just like walking through the rain, and I literally could have just whipped out my poncho, and didn't get soaked, but I did get soaked because I forgot I had a poncho, which was pretty stupid. What else is in here? CO2. I was running a Glock 17 Gen 4 with CO2 mags, so I had a bunch of extra CO2. It's also good to have some of those consumable things to have when you're out on the field. Extra ace bandages. This is obviously the tent. That tent is something I need to work on because that tent is very massive, takes up way too much space in the bag, and leads my bag to weighing up to, I would say, around 50 pounds. This bag was insanely heavy. I need to cut down on weight going forward for my pack. As you can see here, I have a bunch of stuff in here. And yeah, so I think the tent is the biggest thing that I need to cut down on as far as weight. But having a tent was nice to have because I was also able to store some of my buddy's stuff in my tent because I had some extra space in there, and he didn't want to get his stuff wet, so that was helpful in keeping our stuff dry, and being able to have room to actually sleep. This was handy, and yeah, so this is a portable air compressor. It's also a power bank, so I could charge stuff off of this. I'm still at like half battery life. I tried pumping, so yeah, that's the air pump. But I tried pumping a little air mattress thing. I think it got ripped somehow or torn. I pumped it up before this event and it worked just fine. I pumped up the air mattress, but then I don't know, I feel like when that guy was like scrubbing through our tents, mine and Nate's, and just like putting our stuff in just random areas. I don't know who this guy was, just some random guy, but I feel like somehow there's a hole in my mattress, so I wasn't able to actually air up my mattress, which kind of sucked, but I did use this for other things. So this, I just did a direct connect. I know it's kind of funny, but direct connect into the power bank, and then you've got a working fan, which is pretty cool. It's not powerful, it's not super powerful, but I mean, it's kind of nice to have. And I was passed out with this thing on, and it was still running, and as you can see, it was on half battery life. Literally, Nate called me because he was doing the night op, and I didn't hear the ringer or anything. Like, I was just completely knocked out, and just because, like, I still slept good, you know, right through all the way through that entire phone call that he had, and yeah, I didn't hear it at all. I was just like knocked out. So if you want to sleep comfortable, if you do use a fan, there's that. So there's that. Power bank is helpful. So that's like pack wise, that's what I had in the pack. I also have a bunch of other things in this pack that I carry for daily use. Just loaded in here, and in this pouch here. I'm not going to go into that detail, but I also have flashlights and electrical tape, paracord, extra lighters. The lighter I had ended up getting really low on lighter fluid because I didn't realize how low it was to begin with. But always good to have a lighter just so you can start your stove up. And I had a backup one, so it was helpful. What else is there? So that's pretty much this pack. And then the addition to this pack is the back side of it. So there's that zipper to the back that faces your back side. And I was able to store a night op gun that I was going to use for the night op anyways. My gas blowback Mac 11. And I just stored literally everything in there. All 3 mags here. I've got all of them here. I wrapped them up in some of my extra clothing that I brought with to change into when it helped. It was actually helpful to have extra clothes because a lot of our stuff got soaked. So extra clothes came in handy. This was one of the shirts that I had that got soaked, and then I had a backup shirt obviously, but yeah, so I just wrapped some of that stuff so some of those metal mags wouldn't just like clink around in the bag. And then I had things like this for my night rifle. I had that Neotech, I had a little suppressor, and then I also stored the Mac 11 itself in there as well. So I didn't actually end up doing the night op. I decided to opt out of it just because like I was going into it planning on borrowing my buddy Nate's one of his PBS 14s, but the arm wouldn't fit my my mount on my helmet, so wasn't able to work that out. But it's fine, that's not a huge deal. But I ended up just sitting back at camp and cooking some food, which was cool, and yeah, just chilling out. But yeah, so if I did do the night op, this is what I would have had for that. And yeah, so that's what I have for that. Always good to have that extra space in case you need that. If you decide to do a night op, highly recommend night vision, but obviously not everyone can afford that. I personally don't have any night vision right now. Had it in the past, sold my set, and now I currently don't have it anymore because I was planning on upgrading my night vision, but didn't get to that, still haven't gotten to it. But yeah, that's everything in this pack. And then I'll move to some of the gear I had as well. So let me slide this off the table, and then we'll get more into the gear. So just give me a second here to get everything situated. Yeah, and this is the broken zipper. Our friendly neighbors decided to do while we were gone. So this pack here is the pack that I carry when I'm on the field. I ended up strapping it to my main pack with paracord and these buckles that you can just undo and like direct connect to the pack itself. So it was like a dual pack. So it was all in one. So there wasn't anything extra I had to carry in my hands other than my gun itself. In this pack, you'll see things in here that obviously I wouldn't carry on the field with me, especially like this, a propane tank. It makes no sense to carry that, but it's just something I carried with me to the campsite that we were, our colony was at, and then I just took it out of my main pack here and then put it in just the bag that I have. And then also green gas, and then the ammunition for both of my guns, my bolt gun and my Glock. And then I had some Phillips and a flathead screwdriver in there as well, just because tools are necessary. My hydro bladder is also in here. Highly recommend hydro bladder. And also I had extra water in here, which I don't have in there anymore because I drank it. But hydro bladder I highly recommend. You're definitely going to need that nonstop, especially for as long as an event like that is. You need more than just a water bottle with you, because you know in this case, like, you'll be able to use this whenever you need it. Even when you're in the middle of a game, you can just like quick drink this for a little bit and whatnot. But there's that. And then my poncho is in here with my headset equipment. My radio wasn't here, but actually no, my radio was on my chest rig, but my headset was in here. I should have put a backup headset in here because my headset ended up not working. One of those Z-Tac headsets. I actually would recommend these. I had this for a while, so now that it broke, I mean, after a few years of having it and it breaks, you know, it's not a huge deal to replace these because they're only like, I think, close to $50 to $60, but still kind of unfortunate that it broke, but it is what it is. I just use the radio as a standalone radio. And then, yeah, the poncho's in here. I think I went over that. In here, I have a power bank. Always good to have an extra power source. I also have another power bank in that main pack that you just saw. That's something that I always carry on in my pack regardless. But this pack threw a power bank in it, extra ace bandage, and that's about it. And then this was just strapped to that massive pack that you had just seen just now. And yeah, so that was everything that I had in that pack. So, and then you see these are duct tape. I just kept them duct tape so I would not lose BBs out of these bags, just because like these are the only BB supply that I have on me on the field. So I want to make sure these don't get just like emptied out if one of them just like pops open or something. So I duct tape those tight. Let's see what's next. I'll go over to the chest rig here. So the chest rig, I've got like 2 extra pistol mags in here. As you can see, I've got those there. Dead light. This came in handy just at the night when you're walking at night. You just don't want to get shot. Highly recommend that because most people at night ops don't have night vision, so they don't really know who's who. So just a dead light indicates at least they know you're dead, so that's helpful there. In the dangler pouch here, I have my dead rag. That's good to have so you don't get overshot, and so you know people know you're dead when you're shot. Gloves in here. I didn't end up using my gloves just because it was so humid. It was like in the 90s plus humidity. It was pretty hot out during the day, and then it ended up pouring. I don't remember exactly what time, but the rain really had an effect on how many people ended up staying at the event. At least where we were camped out at, you know, everyone left. And then I've got some chem lights, a pen, stuff like that. Just the random stuff that, you know, are in my dangler pouch here. The dead rags probably and the ace bandages are the most useful, just so you can use those out in the field. I kept those in my chest rig the whole time, just like the mag pouches. And then in here, I just had my VSR mags just like piled up in here with speed loaders indicating what speed loaders for what. So this is my .45s, and then this is my .20s for my Glock. Just to separate the difference between those, you can see, and also you can see the Trios TDC, or not, not a TDC. Yeah. I know I have Trios TDCs on the website, but this is a Trios unicorn adapter for my Glock, and that is also something I would highly recommend for pistol mags. Makes it so much easier to load. And that wasn't a restricted thing to have with speed loaders. So also I had some grenades in the side here. Didn't end up using any of them. I don't know why, but I just didn't use them. So I had some UG67s in there. This is the, I've went over this chest rig before, so you probably already know what this is. And yeah, that was the chest rig. I also had my keys in here. And yeah, that's about it. Just so I don't lose my keys, because that's pretty important to keep on you and not to lose. And then some other things that might not be necessary, but I brought this with, but then realized I didn't need it because the arm wasn't going to be compatible with my buddy Nate's night vision setup, his PVS 14. So if you do have night vision, carrying a secondary helmet with you is necessary. I would prefer just using this at night and using a boonie. Even if I'm a rifleman, I would still use a boonie during the day and during like most of the engagements that are still within light. Just because, like, especially if it's super hot out, you don't want to have a helmet with you on at all times. It's different if in real life scenarios, yeah, you want a ballistic helmet, but airsoft, I mean, you want to carry as lightweight as possible and as breathable as possible, so you can sustain as long as possible, so the heat doesn't get to you and you don't get overheated and you don't just crap out early on into the game. So this was only there just for the night vision purposes. So yeah, so that is that. And yeah, and this is a PTS Flex helmet with some KMCS scraps on it, because it is IRR. So to other night vision users, it's a little protected for that, because that's what it is for. That's the usage for it. So I have those on there, and yeah, that is that helmet. And then the sleeping pad that I had, if anything, I should have just went with a pad, but this is so compact that I could put it in that pack, but for whatever reason it didn't air up, which really irritated me. I was pretty disappointed. I don't know what happened with it. Somewhere along the way, I think there's some cut somewhere in this pack, but if you do end up getting a portable air compressor slash power bank source system, you know, some inflatable thing to sleep on is pretty cool to have, as long as your pack is compatible with something of this size. It is flat, so it just sits at the very bottom and it's just flat, but it is kind of long, so keep that in mind. This is just one of those things, like, you don't necessarily need to have it if you have just like a foam pad, but I wanted something a little bit, you know, more comfortable, and it turned out like I didn't even need, I still slept on this without it inflated, and like I said, I was like passed out. So yeah, there's that. And then I had my rifle. So this guy was the rifle of choice for the day. The VSR1, I mean, it is so light. Like, this, carrying this around was like not even a problem all day. It was the pack itself, that massive pack that you saw at the very beginning of the video. That's what gave me issues. This thing, I mean, it was like carrying like a sub gun around all day. It was so light. The suppressor was nice. Remember, it's like a 200mm length inner barrel, so that's why it's so compact and short. But yeah, this was pretty cool. The mag holder came in handy as well, way more often than I thought it would be. So there is a video on this if you want to do that to your VSR1 on my channel. Especially for longer events, having extra mags is nice to have. as far as the gun, it held up, it rained, and it still was shooting. And yeah, I mean, I don't have any complaints about this gun. Nothing came loose, nothing I had to, there was nothing in that toolkit that I showed you earlier that I needed to use on this. The only thing I would have used it for was to, at the very beginning, before anything even started, was to mount my optic. Because I always take my optic off to put it into my gun case because it doesn't fit both my optic and my rifle in my gun case, so I had to keep those separate. So that's the only time I would have needed like a flathead. But other than that, I didn't need any other extra tools or anything like that. In this gun, you'll see in, you'll see in some videos, I had some pretty clean shots with this thing. And yeah, it as long as it outranges, your DMR, which is the next closest in line, and then any other rifleman, that's all you really need it for. Obviously, it's not going to shoot as far as like a standard VSR with like a 430 or a 303 inner barrel, or even the 500 if someone has a 500 millimeter. It's not going to shoot as far as that, but you've seen in the performance video, it still has some good distance to it, at least 300 feet. At a minimum of 300 feet. It probably could have went way further, but I didn't test at that far range. But having that range with this build came in handy during the event, and the fact that it's super small and compact was super nice. So that was the rifle of choice for that longer duration event, or milsim I should say. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else I need to cover other than, I had headgear on. I just threw my GoPro on. I didn't have a separate bag for my GoPro. And I kept my scope cam on my rifle as well on the optic. So I didn't have extra batteries or extra power sources for my DJI camera or my scope cam. The batteries in both never died, which is pretty crazy that for an event as long as that, batteries didn't die or anything like that. It probably would have died if we would have stayed longer for the day too. But I mean, I still had a good amount of battery left, so I probably could have got through that as well. Didn't have overheating with the DJI Action 4 camera, if you're wondering what camera I use. And then I had a scope cam, which never lost battery either. So yeah, and then I had this boonie, which I wore just regardless of where I was at. I wore this just, protect from the sun, and then also if I want to, like at night, since this rim is a lot thicker than the previous Cam CS boonies, I mounted like a flashlight here so I could at least see what I was doing at night. But the boonie was nice to have just to, just to have in general. And then I would also probably recommend bringing extra lenses for your goggles or whatever type of eye pro you wear, just because you never know what could happen to your eye pro if someone were to just run off and take your eye pro out of your tent. It is a possibility, and now I know it is a possibility. So just having a backup of eye pro is very important, because otherwise you can't actually play. That's like one of the main important things there. And then last but not least, the belt that I had. Just a basic setup. I had my Glock 17 Gen 4 here. Just TLR1 HL light, stream light, and then a CO2 mag. I still have it in here actually. But really, I only used one mag, and just from there, like, there's only like a few times where we'd get close enough to where I actually needed to use this. So in downtime, when we were just like doing recon stuff, I would just like reload the mag with my speed loader, and then I didn't really need to use my other mags, but it's good to have spare mags. I do have spare mags, like you saw in the chest rig, in case I did need those, but didn't really, it wasn't really necessary. But for you, it might be if you are in closer engagements, especially if it's a more urban area. This was more of a wooded area, and you'll see that in some footage and gameplay that I'll have later down the road at some point in time. Bug spray is another big one. I put that on, but because Nate had some, my buddy Nate had some, so I put bug spray on. But I would recommend having bug spray within your pack, somewhere within your pack, because you're gonna need that. And yeah, so that was the pistol of choice. And then I just have some side mag holders. This is a good way of just like dumping off your mags. Just if you're in the middle of just like you're shooting your pistol, it's good to just dump your pistol mags in there, even if you have them on your chest rig. I mean, you could just carry even more pistol mags, but in reality, you only need like 3. You don't need like a crap load of pistol mags if you have good aim, at least. I'm not saying you don't have good aim. It's just like it's not necessary to have so many pistol mags. It's more weight on your body, and especially if you have a speed loader, you can just reload right after an engagement, especially if there's a lot of downtime. You can just reload your pistol mags and your bullet gun mags as well, like my VSR 1 mags. But yeah, very simple belt setup, very lightweight, nothing crazy with all these pouches everywhere. Mainly everything was carried on the chest rig and in the pack that I had on my back. This is just like just my main belt setup. So that's what I had for that. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I had with me. As far as walking out on the field, I had my dual pack and then my rifle. And yeah, just kept it very simple. The biggest thing walking out there to the campsite, about a mile or two, probably about 2 miles out, mile and a half. I don't know for sure, but it was a mile, somewhere in there. Is the weight of that dual pack. I need to find somewhere to cut down on weight. If you have any suggestions, definitely let me know in the comments down below, especially a shelter system. My buddy Nate had something way more efficient as far as weight reduction for his shelter, which is something now I'm going to consider for myself as well. And there's some other things too that I need to do to cut down on weight as far as bringing so much onto the field. But if you're in good enough shape and you can carry 50 pounds on your back for miles on end, that is a good setup to have. That's the end of this video. My battery died. I did only have 30%, but still, it died. And this video is getting a little too long, so I'm gonna end it off here. That's pretty much the end of this overview video of my 24-hour milsim pack. Like I was saying before at the end there, I could probably sustain way longer with the amount of stuff I had in that pack if I would have just had a little bit more food, a little bit more water, which I could have thrown in those, either or, somewhere along in those packs. So yeah, that is a perfect system for 24 hours if you can manage the weight. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. You'll see gameplay from the milsim that I went to with all of this gear. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And keep an eye out for Nate's video on Blind Sniper, his channel, because he's gonna have a full gameplay and all that good stuff. Maybe some more videos going over his gear setup too, which definitely check out as well. If you have any questions about my setup or suggestions for me in the future, for future pack setups, definitely let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.